Today we are making 3 holiday recipes in the Vitamix machine. But the first thing I want to do is show you the magic that just happened in my A3500, which is this. Steamy, delicious, spicy hot chocolate that I heated up on the machine itself. So I am featuring the A3500 gold label sage color. This color is so pretty. It looks great in our kitchen. It would look great in like a farmhouse kitchen or a modern sleek kitchen. I love this color so much. If you're looking for a gift for someone that has their eye on a Vitamix and they care a lot about the aesthetic of their kitchen, the Gold Label series is what you should be looking for. They've got sage. We've got the navy one that lives on our counter since our kitchen is navy, and a gold, all gold one. They are beautiful. So this is a thick, creamy, delicious, healthy version of a spicy hot chocolate. It's a thick pour. You can tell it's super creamy. If that feels too thick for you, if you're not in the mood for like an eggnog consistency, you can always water it down with a little bit more milk. Also, by happenstance, we made this recipe once and left it in the fridge overnight because we made too much. And it actually turned into more of like a pudding consistency, and it was maybe even more delicious. So I'm gonna quickly teach you how to make this spicy hot chocolate, and after that, we're gonna work on our gingerbread, and I'll show you what I'm gonna make that in a second. So I am using almond milk. You can use any milk of your choice. I've got almond milk. So that was 1.5 cups of almond milk. I've got 1/4 cup of cashews. We use raw cashew pieces. I'm using 1/2 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips. Any chopped up chocolate will work in here. And I'll tell you why I'm using chocolate chips instead of like a chocolate syrup in a second. And then I've got full fat coconut milk, and I've got 1/4 cup. If you are trying to keep your calories down over the holiday season, if you have a lot of cookie exchanges to go to and you're trying to keep it light, you can skip that ingredient. It'll just be a little less creamy. And then for sweetener, see if I can balance this. For sweetener, I've got maple syrup. You can use agave, you can use a date, whatever you want for your natural sweetener. I've got a tablespoon of sweetener. If you're serving this to kids, you're gonna skip this part. It's chili powder, 1/4 teaspoon. If you like it spicier, go ahead. We're in Minnesota, so that's about as spicy as we get around here. And then I've got 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. The cinnamon is what kind of elevates this hot chocolate and makes it different than just like a hot chocolate powder that you would get. And then get yourself a really fancy salt container and put a little pinch of salt in. I love this thing, I just think it's cute. So the reason that I put chocolate chips in here is that because the A3500 series, it has a soup setting. And so I'm gonna set the soup setting, which is this one in the middle. I'm gonna set the soup setting, and it is going to blend and use friction to heat up all the ingredients that are in this blender and cook them basically. So it's not cooking the ingredients, but it is heating the ingredients with friction. So it's gonna break down those chocolate chips and basically melt them into this. So I don't have to use like a squirt of Hershey syrup to make this delicious and creamy hot chocolate. We're gonna move on to the gingerbread, which I'm gonna make in the food processor attachment. So give me a second to switch those over. All right, I just switched over to our navy A3500 gold label machine and realized that I didn't actually show you the soup setting. Obviously, I'm not gonna make you sit here with me for 6 minutes while this blends up and makes a heated hot chocolate drink, but I do wanna show you the preset settings here. So I've got a soup setting in the middle, I've got frozen desserts, I've got a smoothie, I've got a nut butter, and then a wash cycle. So all of those things are, I push them and I walk away. It's walk away blending. I can trust that the Vitamix is just gonna do the work for me. And then I'll come back and I'll have a perfectly blended smoothie or soup setting. So this is the one I would do. You see it does 5 minutes and 45 seconds. It starts on a level 5, then it ramps up to a 10. You guys can see it go. So now that I've switched over to this one, I am going to put the food processor attachment on top. The food processor attachment is compatible with any of the Ascent series. So one of the things that I think is amazing about Vitamix that they are kind of starting to talk about is that a Vitamix really is something that you pass down. It lasts a lifetime. That's their new kind of tagline, but it is true. They're being passed down. When you upgrade, you pass yours down to your kid. And one of the things that I love about that is that a lot of the recipes that we make in the blender are passed down. They're traditional. So this holiday season, I'm gonna be making our potato latkes in the food processor attachment instead of hand grating potatoes like my grandma and my great grandma used to do. I'm gonna cut the time in 1/10 of the time and throw all my potatoes in here, and it's gonna shred up potatoes like hash browns. Today we're gonna make gingerbread in the food processor attachment. So I've got 3 cups of flour. You can use any kind of flour probably in this recipe. You can use almond flour if you have a gluten-free person coming to your holiday. I've got 3/4 of a cup of dark brown sugar packed. I've got this delicious combo of spices. It's ginger, cinnamon, and clove. And we'll link the recipes down below so that you can have all the particular measurements. I've got baking soda and salt in here. Ooh, I almost lost that whole container in there. And then I'm gonna blend all those dry ingredients in the food processor just for a couple of seconds just to mix them up in there. So you'll see it at work. You can see starting to turn more brown. So I've got that all mixed up. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is add my butter. I'm using a plant-based butter today, but you can use any butter in yours. And I'm gonna throw them in through this chute, which is what you would use if you were doing like vegetables, chopping up vegetables or something like that too. You would throw them in here. I make a really good lasagna. Eggplant, zucchini, onions all go in through here and I get like a really nice fine chop. The food processor attachment, while I'm saying that, I should tell you about these. I'm rudely leaning over, but they come with all of these different slides. What do they call them? Slides? Discs, I'll call them. But they're thin slice, thick slice, things like that, so that you can really control exactly the texture that comes out of this. And that's really helpful for making sliced things. Right now we're using just the traditional food processor that you would be making a lot of holiday meals, I feel like, use a food processor. A lot of the baking, a lot of the recipes that I see are made in a food processor. So this way, you have a food processor on your counter that lives on the Vitamix instead of having a whole nother machine that you have to get out of the cabinet and all of that stuff. This is also kind of taking the place of our big mixer today. Not getting down a mixer because I am using my blender. So I'm gonna quickly chop in that butter. And it's like a sandy consistency now. I'll show you. This is the texture that I am going for, just butter chopped in. And then I'm gonna add the last 2 ingredients to the gingerbread, which are molasses, which is what gives it that dark brown color, and it's like classic ginger flavor. And then a little bit of any milk of your choice. So I'm using almond milk, just 2 tablespoons of almond milk. And we're gonna blend that up. So one of the things about the food processor attachment that you'll notice is that none of these presets work. I'm using it manually right now. I'm just pressing start and stop on it. That's because it needs to function as a food processor, not as a blender. So because of that smart detect, it knows this is a food processor. I can only run at this level. And that's why we're using start, stop, and that's it on that one, if that makes sense. Okay, so. You see it kind of moving up through. right, so I am gonna go in with a spatula just to kind of help it along. I think I could probably walk away from this one and it would do it eventually, but I don't want you guys to have to wait forever while I do that. So I'm gonna just scrape down the sides and give it a chance to get it all in. So this is the attachment that goes in, and it is sharp, unlike the blades of a Vitamix. The actual food processor attachment is sharp. So I just scraped down the sides and we're gonna blend again for a second. There it goes. You can see it starting to ball up into a dough. There you go. So that just made my gingerbread dough perfectly. You'll see the consistency is exactly what we're looking for, which is kind of balled up gingerbread dough. Ah! Shiny, delicious. It smells really spicy in a good way. And so what you're gonna do with that is you are going to take 2 pieces of parchment. You're gonna put half this dough in that parchment and roll it out to about 1/4 of an inch thick, and then put it in the freezer for like 15 or 20 minutes, and then cut out your shapes. And so, oh! My poor stars. So you're gonna cut out your shapes and then you're gonna bake at 350 for 8 minutes. All right, the last thing we are making is this spicy cranberry dip. It's made with fresh cranberries and jalapeno and cilantro. And we serve it as an appetizer on goat cheese or dairy-free cream cheese. It is so delicious. Also really good just with a spoon. And I'm going to make it in the Propel 750. So this is really similar machine to the A3500 that I was just using. It's got those same 5 presets. The difference is that these are tactile controls instead of a touch screen. So you can see that you turn the knob to start that preset, but it still has those same 5 presets. The only other difference is that it doesn't, the food processor attachment doesn't work on it, but it makes soups and smoothies and chops, and we are gonna make this delicious cranberry dip in here. So I've got 12 ounces of fresh washed cranberries. I've got a big handful of cilantro, 1/4 of a cup or so. I've got a de-seeded jalapeno. You can keep the seeds in if you like it extra spicy. And then some green onions. And so you can tell it's like Christmas colors already. It's just very pretty. It looks really nice on a table, on a holiday festive table. It's like one of my favorite things to just put out to be beautiful, but it also happens to taste very delicious. So normally I do not pour a bunch of white sugar into things that I'm making, especially in front of thousands of people on Vitamix's channel for healthy, delicious blender recipes. But these are fresh cranberries, and fresh cranberries are so, so, so bitter without sugar. They need it. So the original recipe, which I'll link below, calls for a full cup of sugar here. I use a half, and I think it's more than enough. I think it cuts the bitterness of those cranberries, and it gives you that really delicious, like tart flavor without being too much. But I am using sugar here. So if you are against using plain white processed sugar, I hear you. Use a different sweetener. Do not eat this without a sweetener. Or if you do, I didn't tell you to. The other thing in here is cumin and a little bit of salt. And then the last ingredient is lemon juice, but because I'm using a a Vitamix, I can use a full lemon and it will break it down for me. So it's 2 tablespoons of lemon, so I'm gonna do about 1/4 of a lemon, and I am going to take the zest. The zest? It's a zest only if you zest it. The skin? Peel? The peel off. So just look at how beautiful that blend is even before you blend it. It's just so pretty. If you use a preset, you're gonna go this way and you're gonna press start and it will blend it for you and you can walk away. In this case, I want to really control the texture because you can tell it's kind of like a salsa or like a pico de gallo. Like I want to make sure that it still has a lot of texture and that this isn't like a cranberry cilantro smoothie because that sounds foul. So I'm gonna pulse at level 1. You can see the ingredients are being pulled down to the bottom. So I'm gonna turn it up a tiny bit, just wanna make sure it gets a good chance to. All right, and then I think I'm gonna use my tamper on this one just because I really wanna be able to control that texture and I don't wanna overblend. What I'm gonna do is push the ingredients from the corners into the blade in the middle, and I'm not gonna pulse anymore. Now that I have my tamper, I'm just gonna blend on low. If I blend on low on level 1 or 2, it's never gonna cut the pieces up too much for me. So I'm just gonna let it blend while I push from the corners. So I go to 1, it's on, okay, and I'm just pushing the ingredients down. And it's making kind of that like salsa consistency. It's breaking down those cranberries and the cilantro and the jalapeños. It's breaking those all down for me. And that's it. And now I've got the perfect consistency and texture for my cranberry dip. So one of the tricks for this dip is if you make it earlier in the day or even overnight, you'll see the difference in how bright and colorful this one is compared to this one. The longer you leave it in the fridge, the brighter red it gets, and it's really kind of a stunning thing to put on your holiday landscape. If you're into the presentation of your holiday meals, which I know a lot of us are. So we made a cranberry cilantro dip in our Propel 750. We made the gingerbread in the food processor attachment, and we made our spicy hot chocolate in the A3500 gold label. And these are the 3 holiday treats. I'm gonna call them treats. 3 holiday treats that you can make in your Vitamix this holiday season and control all the ingredients and get everything that you need to have a happy and joyful holiday. Thanks for joining me today. This was really fun. I like celebrating this spicy holiday season with you.